Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue action movies galore with another great edition in Hard Boiled. It was released on April 16th, 1992, written by Barry Wong and Jordan Chan, with a story by John Woo, directed by John Woo. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And you've heard me the last few weeks describe John Woo as the action maestro, one of the greatest action directors of all time. This was your first Woo, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, very first. At least the one that I know of. Maybe I've seen one randomly, but I don't think so. I think this is the first.
How are you feeling about it?
I see a lot of inspiration, where things came from here a little bit, but real is the word that came to mind. Like, I mean, it's very, very, there's a blend of like the fast motion and things that just happen and it's done, but then there are slow motion shots where like they let you sit with it and you know what's happening at certain points. But then like I'm thinking of like the first sequence in that like restaurant, or
the chaos.
Oh my god, like to start a movie off like that, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting in, I know what I'm getting into here. And just very it felt like they were showing the bullets, like even going through the walls and like going back into the kitchen. It just felt like this was just actually happening and they were filming an event. I don't know.
That was one of my favorite things about this movie too, is that like it feels like in any given action movie nowadays, you're going to have a set piece that lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. We move on to the next, and it's on. Like, when we started that restaurant, and it is about 10 minutes. It is about the first 10 minutes of the movie. But I just love that it lets everything breathe. Nothing feels like it's cut too short. Nothing. And in fact, there was even stuff that felt a little long. Like we got that 10-minute set piece at the beginning, which was awesome. I absolutely loved it. It was it got you fucking going. You knew what movie you were getting into. And then, we build up some story, but then we find ourselves at that warehouse, where we get probably my favorite scene in the movie, the giant action set piece that happens there. Interrupted by one of the most emotionally riveting beats in the story, followed up by more awesome action shit. So like it was just a wonderful sequence, and that's like 20 minutes, which is way longer than you expect it would be. And then we spend like 40 fucking minutes at the hospital at the end. And I mean like 40 fucking minutes of action in the hospital at the end. We even spend time in the hospital before action starts. That's just where the rest of the movie takes place, which is like they leave no stone unturned in the hospital. It feels like it's real time. It doesn't feel like we're like, all right, well, we'll zoom past that. Like, okay, we need to get the kids out of here. We cut. She's getting all the kids out of there. No, that is a part of the process that is going to be a problem. We need to figure out how to get the kids out of the hospital.
It's a weird kind of mix for me, because it felt like we're literally just like following these events. It kind of didn't feel like a movie at certain points. It kind of felt like I was just like in this action with the people, because like I don't know how many times I'm just like I am like physically like, oh no, like there's a baby there, like, or like or like just being like, oh shit, like this is not going well. Like whenever they're like putting babies out of the window and like lowering them down, and then those people just come out the window and start blasting on them, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, holy fuck, like is it gonna calm down ever? And it is barely does.
All immersing. It is gas to the fucking like pedal to the fucking metal, dude. You are going in this one. And I love, one of my favorite things about John Woo, this is my fourth Woo movie, and it's what made him work so perfectly for the Mission Impossible franchise. At the heart of every Mission Impossible movie after the first one is like ultimately a happy ending. It's like friendship got us through in the end. I love you guys, like we're the best, like that's and I feel like this movie has that feeling. It's obviously not like everybody makes it out alive or anything, but like it's redemption. It's ultimately a happy ending versus what could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what makes him work so well for the Mission Impossible franchise. And this is basically what all of his movies feel like, which makes him a one and not, and like in different capacities, but like you ultimately end up in this place where you're like, ah, man, that actually felt good. Like it's this rare thing where, when it comes to like the John Wick movies, you're ending on a note that's like, fuck, here we go again. Like, no, at the end of John Woo movies, you typically feel like, it's complete. It's done. We've done it. Everything's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good feeling at the end of John Woo movies.
Yeah, like I guess the fighting itself seemed kind of senseless at some. It is. It is just crime. It's just crime syndicates. I don't know. Like, is that what's the who's this the main kind of the villain or antagonist? What's his where is he? Is this him? That doesn't look like him. It's not Mad Dog, is it? That
Mad
doesn't.
Dog's the guy with the eye patch.
Okay. Oh.
Johnny
Whoa.
Wong. Johnny Wong
Oh,
is the
okay.
villain of this
Okay.
movie.
So Mad Dog and Johnny Wong. Wow. I mean, what a
Mhm.
that Mad Dog dude. Did he
Love
even
Mad
say a
Dog.
word? Did he say a word
Love
the
Mad
whole
Dog.
time? I don't.
He does. He does
Okay.
end up saying stuff.
He does. Okay. Because most of the time, that dude is just a
He's just all
boogeyman.
action. He actually has some of my favorite emotional beats at the end of the movie. It kind of draws the line between
Mm-hmm.
him and the people he works for. Like they are
Mm-hmm.
soulless, they're heartless. There is still an honor to Mad Dog that
Yeah. Putting the guns
makes
down.
him,
Like.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And also he went to Johnny Wong at the beginning whenever they're evacuating the hospital, and he's like, hey, your beef is with the cops, can't we let these people go?
I see.
Like
Okay.
they haven't done anything. I hate the cops too, fuck the police, but these hospital people, they're just trying to do some good, bro. Like, we don't want people hurt. And he's like, nah, they're our leverage. And he's like, well, shit, okay. And then ultimately when he comes face to face with Alan there and they put the guns down, they're like, okay, let the people clear out, then we're gonna do what we need to do. That's like the tone there is like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
like,
It's our fight's not done. We're not saying that we're
we'll
good.
pause for a
Yeah.
second. They were gonna like, and I wanted that Western draw moment when they all cleared out, but then it turns into
Yeah.
one of the most like jarring, disturbing moments of the whole movie whenever Johnny Wong shows who he is for real and slaughters a bunch of civilians in a hospital with a machine gun.
Yeah.
One of those things that in 1992 couldn't have known how hard to watch that would be 30 years later.
I think that's I don't
It's
know.
just a it's
It's
just a way to
kind
show
of
just how evil this guy
it's
is.
almost important to show that like there were two, you know, these people are crazy. Mad Dog, we know that dude's off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, he's breaking he's undercover. We got a lot more going on. He's a little more of a level head. He's
We'll
doing
dive into that a little
but
bit here in a
but
moment for sure.
crazy people, but they're even sane enough to be like, okay, we're not going to kill these nurses and sick
And
people
honorable
and
enough.
whatever.
Like
Yeah, they're
there's
like,
a
okay, whatever. And but then like the second that like Alan sees like what's about to happen, like he knows instantly. He's like, oh well, this is done.
so does
He's like,
Mad Dog. Both of them know. Like Mad Dog even turns to
I
him
guess
and is ready to like he
he
shoots him.
yeah, I guess he's the
He-
one who who and I guess there's like kind of like a Mad Dog kind of has like a moment of like what side am I on? And then he's like, okay, now it's clear.
Mhm.
And that I don't know. That is a lot of moments like that pop up. Like it is just pure action for a lot, and then you have this really cool kind of character moment for people, and that
Mm.
that one's probably one of the better ones. And the other one that I thought was whenever Tequila and Alan meet on the boat. Whenever they like, that's Alan's boat, right? Is that like his
Yes.
where he lives? Yeah, and like they're meeting there. They have that whole crane conversation, and like just
Mhm.
before they get shot at and have to go. But like I really liked that conversation between them two, and then like kind of the
Great scene.
story. Yeah, it slowed down for a little bit, but then like I don't know, I felt like it had a good balance. Like the movie had a very good balance of giving you the action everyone wants, but then
Mm-hmm.
also like a really good story that just kind of intertwined I don't know, it kept me in it the whole time.
No, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I appreciated how much it takes typical tropes of action movies and it does lean into them to a degree. The wife who's been neglected by a man who's too involved in his work. However, she's in the same work. That's how they kind of twist it there.
yeah,
They're like, this is just this can't work because they do the same thing, not because they're out of each other's life. It's because they're at each other's throats basically all the fucking time. And I loved Tequila and his lady's
let's
relationship
see.
there, Teresa.
Mm.
Yeah, Teresa and Tequila. I loved their back and forth. I loved that first time whenever she gets the flowers delivered to her and he like hovers outside the office and acts like he's praying and stuff and
The other two guys that are out there
yeah.
afterwards, like, oh, if
Yeah.
this is how it works, this
Yeah.
we got to follow in this dude's footsteps. I thought, I don't know, it
Yeah.
was
And
pretty good.
and she's like, Tequila, get in here. And they have that tension that's like obviously they what I love is that they have beef, but they obviously also love each other pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah,
And I thought that they did a really good job with the chemistry between Teresa Mo and Chow Yun
mm,
Fat. He was incredible in terms. I loved his performance as Tequila in this movie, and it was those scenes where he was opposite Teresa or opposite Alan that really came to shine.
yeah.
Um,
He's just so calm, so like collected. That kind of cowboy. I don't know. He's just confident, Like
mhm.
and I think that's what they're trying to do with the other guys outside. Being super whatever, like, and they're just showing like because they're looking through the window at him like, how are you doing this right now? They're like looking at him as if he's like, I don't know, like it's like something, I don't know, out of like a comic book, but it's he's just talking to his.
Well, and that's where my favorite line of the movie comes in because as soon as it was dropped, like 8 to 10 minutes into the movie, I was like, "Yep, there is no way there's a line better than that." And it's his boss whenever he's like, "You give the man a gun and he's Superman. You give him two and he's God." I'm
That
like, "That's fucking dope. That is one of the hardest lines I've ever heard in an action movie. That was so fucking cool." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm fucking ready." But that he's even saying that in a context that's like diminutive. He's trying to be like, oh yeah, give this fucking guy a gun, he's Superman. Give him two and he thinks he can do whatever he wants. He's
mm,
God. And I loved that you could take it as badass and you could take it as him being like, you're too quick. You're too quick to the trigger. You got to figure
yeah,
something out. And it
yeah.
was such a great balance there.
I mean, the dude loaded up whenever he was about to storm that warehouse. I mean, he was whenever. I mean, that's for a coolest kill. The Indiana Jones rope swing. I don't know how many guys he killed off that single rope swing alone. I mean, dude was just spraying.
Mowing
I'd
motherfuckers
say
down.
at least 15. I put in
Oh
15
yeah.
there. Probably conservative to go 15 just there. But I don't know that the action was undeniably like it's not like any. I don't know. It's definitely not like John Wick at all. John Wick is like choreographed to the point to where it is clean and the camera is steady and it's but some I don't know. It's very clean. You can tell you're watching a movie.
Do you see how Monkey Man takes much more after this type of movie than a John Wick?
Yeah,
This
it
is
blends the
like,
two, like Monkey
it,
Man almost,
mm-hmm,
and more towards John Woo, I'd say,
mm-hmm.
than like John Wick, but this is much more just. I feel like we're gonna try to just make it as real as we can, and like because the hospital scene, it hit me again. And John Wick, that overhead oneer shot, it was
Mm-hmm.
blowing my mind while I'm watching it. But I was like, there are probably parts where, there's a pan that they cross a wall and they can cut there and reset if they needed to, whatever. But like in the hospital, there was a oneer
Oh, dude,
and it's a guy
fucking
holding a
awesome.
camera the whole time, following him, and They go through the whole hospital, the whole floor. It's wrecked. Everything's done.
When they get on the elevator and
Yeah.
he's like, "Did I just shoot a cop?" And he's like, "No, you didn't just shoot a cop. Lock the fuck in. Let's fucking go." And then the doors open. They don't even look. They shoot those guys. The camera goes out first. They catch up to it, dude. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome.
You know what's
Like
cool about that? The
what's that?
elevator. It's not a real elevator.
Yeah, no, it's not moving.
They didn't move at all. They just closed the door. They didn't go up a floor. They just cleaned the one floor very fast while they were in the elevator, reset everything, and then went back out. That was the only thing I looked up after watching the movie. I'm like, I have to know how this one or how this hospital sequence was like done. And oh my god, yeah, no, it's just well choreographed. It's
The
knowing
special effects in this movie are fucking outstanding. I don't mean like when we talk about special effects modernly, we kind of view it as CGI, computer generated.
like the squibs.
I'm
and
talking about
the
squibs and
bullets.
explosions
Yeah.
and the holes in walls and the breaking glass and all of that stuff. Like there was nothing in this movie that felt like it was like, oh, well, that was obviously fake. Like it
Nothing
all
was
felt
safe.
so real. I
Nothing
mean,
was
like those
safe at all.
explosions at the end. Holy shit!
Is that
I
how
don't know.
explosions actually happen? Or was that like an editing? Was that like a I don't know, used to? Because I don't know. It was just boom, 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 like over, over. And I guess
Right.
it's in a hospital. A bunch of oxygen tanks are just blowing up. Whatever.
I
But,
think
like,
it's just that like it keeps reaching a new floor, and that floor keeps exploding, and that floor explodes, and then that floor
okay.
because of all the oxygen on all the different levels. I think is kind of the idea. I
Mhm.
don't think it's exactly how that would actually work by any means.
And that's not. And I
Um,
don't care about that. It's just
I
I
don't
think
either,
like
yeah.
the only gripes I would have is like the editing at some points was a little jarring. Like I feel like most of the time when it was just action and then like slow mo cuts, like it was very practical and it made sense like a lot of times. But I can't pull anything off the tip of my like just out immediately. But I feel like
No, I
whenever the
mean-
explosions started going off, like I don't know, it was a lot. I feel like I don't know what they could have changed, but I feel like the editing was just a little weird there. And maybe
No,
they're
that's
really blowing up a building and they have like one take, they have just that footage and that's all they have to work with, so they have to replay it and stuff. But I don't know.
no, I think I know exactly what type of editing you're talking about, and it is kind of a classic Hong Kong action film sort of type of editing where they do and you've seen it in other kinds of movies where like somebody like jumps and shoots somebody and they show it at one angle and they show it at another angle and they show it at another angle, and it's like you see the same bullet fired 3 times and you know it's only one shot, but they show him shoot it 3 times. That's kind of a classic Hong Kong action film sort of cut and edit, because one of my favorite slow motions happens during the hospital one where it's just kind of like, the fuck did you need to do that for? I thought it was hilarious. It's when they like cross, one of them goes to the other side of the hallway and the other goes to, and it's just slow motion across the hallway. They don't shoot anybody during that. They literally just run across the hall, and I thought it was so fucking funny. It's like 2 feet. It's not even like they run down the hall. It's to the opposite side of the hallway. And I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Because there are moments when the editing does work well, like and that's
yeah.
most of the movie. I don't want to say like my gripes is like, oh, I'm feeling this the whole time. No, but like whenever, I don't know, I guess it's in the hospital at some point. I don't know who comes in first. I think it's Tequila. He like dives through one of the like the morgue, like where they store a body.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
He
yeah,
like
yeah.
dives through it and he's like shooting people as he enters the room there. And then Alan like comes in on one below, like slides through another one and then shoots. But they came through like at the same time. But the editing showed Tequila coming through first, showing all the kills he got, and then it went back to kind of show.
It shows one after the other.
And that's
Gotcha.
cool. Like that I think really works because like if it were just to show it all happen at the same time, you'd probably miss a lot of things.
It's jarring.
Or like,
yeah,
you'd be like, oh, what the fuck's going on? But like in that way, it works. I think it breaks the timeline, but for a movie, it works a whole lot, more.
Right.
But I guess, and I don't have the biggest problem with like the repeated shot over and over. Like sometimes that works, and I don't know. I wish I could pull an example of a thing that I didn't like, but it's barely anything. So I mean, it's not like it happened. I mean, maybe twice throughout like the whole
Yeah, and I mean,
movie,
like, if
or
there was
like
something you didn't like and it's not even notable enough for you to remember it,
exactly. Yeah.
it's pretty insubstantial. But no, and I think that I appreciate the sort of cornball nature of this movie. It is extremely
Mm-hmm.
corny, and I think that that works in its favor, to be sure. I think that a lot of the character work uh, between Tequila and Alan is really, really strong. I think that the way that they characterize them is wonderful. I went into this movie like completely blind. I didn't know that it was about an undercover cop. That's like part of the description for this movie. Like if you look at the description of this movie, they tell you Alan's an undercover cop, which I was like, why the fuck would you do that? That's one of the best parts of the movie is when it's a revelation that he's an undercover
What?
cop.
Yeah, I was gonna say what? That's like it's. I mean, it's like kind of in the middle of the movie that you find that out
It's like
too, right?
45
Like
minutes in, 50 minutes in. It's
wow.
not like you know that. It's and
Mm.
I mean unless I go back and rewatch it and there's something you blatantly miss, but I mean it
I don't
seems
think so. I
I
mean,
don't think so either.
because I was
What is
texting you
interesting to
when
me.
that moment happened for me,
Yeah.
and that's like
Mhm.
it was like 40 something minutes in, and
Yeah.
I don't think it pops up any time before. But yeah, I, I didn't read the synopsis, I guess, so I'm glad I didn't. But like, I just saw the poster. I saw Tequila with a
Him holding the
baby, and I'm
baby.
like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I'm like, what are we getting into here?
I thought the whole movie was around him protecting a baby because of that poster. And then like they show the baby at the end of the movie and I'm like, "Let's go. It's time." You know, I'm like, "This is
The
the part of
baby.
the movie." No, I
Uh,
that's one of those just like character defining moments that I absolutely love, which made that poster just like make sense to me. Whenever he is holding the baby and the dudes are coming from all angles and he's like, "Oh," he puts the cotton balls in his ears and he's like, "It's okay, buddy. It's gonna be all right." And he's
start
singing the little
to 'em.
lullaby,
Yeah.
and I loved that shit, man. And there was literally a shot that made me cry. It's just the kids, like kid stuff, fucks me up. When the kid's got blood splatter on his face,
And then
um,
he's like, "Oh
and then he
no,
cleans it
no,
up.
no!"
Yeah, like dude, I was like it like got me, and I didn't know why it got me,
I
but it was just a heavy moment,
the
man. Like it's
juxtaposition. I think
yeah,
that's the point of doing it in a hospital and making, because like in a hospital, like I feel like in any other movies, like there's just adults in there
hmm
most of the time. You know, there's not like they don't make it a
there would be a maternity
yeah,
ward,
they don't
you know,
focus
like
on the fact that we're pumping out people all the time. You know, their
yeah,
hospitals are full of babies at all points. And yeah, I mean, whenever they got there, I'm like, oh no! Like whenever we're at the hospital first and it's calm and we're just going through the, you know, seeing all these nurses take care of the babies, I'm like, well, this can't be good. You know, it's not gonna end well probably. And no, it really didn't. But I I think it was just a perfect. We have sheer violence on one hand, you know, with
hmm
um, just someone who is willing to kill patients and people that aren't even in this fight right now, and then someone who is trying their best to save everyone and the innocence that they can. And I think I didn't cry necessarily. It didn't bring me to tears, but definitely was one of the most like emotional moments
hmm
in the
yeah. No, I
movie.
mean, like
It was
a tear
like
didn't fall or anything,
it
but they
was like
welled, they
yeah,
welled.
it was
Um,
definitely like a oh fuck. Like it was like
yeah,
a it's an innocent babe, you know. It's like a
hmm
the baby's done nothing and just it's just someone else's blood. I don't know. It is visual. You don't need
hmm
anything. It's just
yeah. And
a
then him like trying to wipe it up, and they like stick with that. It's not like he wipes and it's clean. Like no, he has to like you're
and
there
it's
for a
still
second, and
smeared too, and
yeah,
it's
and it's
like
like it's
oh
not clean, it's ugly. Like it is such a good part of the movie, and I love the way his like legs catch on fire and the baby puts it out by peeing. That's fucking outstanding. Like that's one of those things that like you take those moments that are hard hitting, that are heavy, and are wonderful character beats, and then you give this like funny slapstick sort of culmination to the end of this movie where his legs catch on fire and the baby puts it out by peeing.
fuck
That's
yeah,
awesome.
fuck yeah. And the cable that he jumps out of the hospital with, fuck it. Who cares? Who cares?
Nope.
who
No.
cares that
Fucking
thing
outstanding.
is, like, I love that, like, he even grabs it first and he's like, ooh, ow. That's like, it's like a live wire. And then, like,
Yeah.
is that to show that he's powering through it the whole time, or like that he eventually grabbed a part that isn't live and like that
I'm taking it that he grabbed a part that wasn't live.
okay,
I
because
think
I was gonna
that's
say, I'm like, are they trying to
that would fuck
show?
up the baby.
That's what I was
too.
gonna say. I'm like,
that's
he's holding the baby, so like it's not really how. I mean,
that's not how that works.
Yeah.
No, I'm guessing that well, what's also funny is that like the wire doesn't even give until he reaches the ground, and it's just like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
It literally is like he was on a wire on a set and then just got sat down and he just let that go.
Carried that all the way to the ground.
I think the reason they're literally holding it is like that is where his real wire is running up through. So now they just don't have to go in and visually cut out. So I don't know.
That would make sense.
I mean, they had to cut out something. Like obviously
he's got to be rocking a harness or something underneath there for sure. But
but I don't know. Maybe there is a cable running up through that, and they just didn't cut it out. I don't know, but I mean, practical.
No, I love that shit.
Everything here was practical. It was just.
I mean, the cars exploding and the fucking like all of that. And that's why my favorite scene of the movie is at the industrial warehouse where Alan is riding with Johnny. He's like, are you really wanting me to kill my old boss? Essentially, like, is that what we're doing? He's like, yep, go ahead and out. We're good. That's it. And he's like, all right. And, they get there. I absolutely love that fucking action sequence. The first action sequence, the initial action sequence before anything of real note happens. It's just everybody fucking going at it. All the bikes raiding, super fucking cool. Them all like rolling up and spraying on motorcycle back, and then Mad Dog does this sick ass bike slide and is spraying them all, and then he does a pop-up slide and sprays a couple more, and then there's another one where he jumps into a fucking truck and runs a dude over in air and then shoots like Mad Dog goes on a fucking tear there. But then it culminates in like, so it's hard to call it all one scene. I'll say my favorite scene begins whenever Alan is faced with Uncle Hoy, and Uncle Hoy is like, I know this is it for me, like I see that this is the end of the line. Don't kill them, just kill me. And he's like, I don't want any of these pigs to do it. I want you to do it, Alan. You do it. And
what was his
Alan
name?
ultimately
on John Wick. It felt like a four, the father in Osaka.
Oh yes, yeah.
Felt kind
Shizu? Shimazu?
Shimazu. There it is. It felt kind of like a I know I'm dead. I'm gonna teach one final lesson, sort of thing before I go. And
then that adds that layer in where it's like, how long has Alan been embedded with Uncle Hoy? Like how much of a relationship have they really had the chance to form? And what?
Ooh. That might be my favorite shot now that I think about it. I forgot about whenever it sticks on Alan's face. Like he shoots Uncle Hoy like in the heart, and he's walking away, and it's like and it sticks on his face, and he's like he's like crying at first, but then he's like pissed, and he's like, because then he sees not Mad Dog. It's Johnny Wong. I don't know. I hate this guy. He just has a punchable face. I don't like.
Oh,
and
it just sucks.
Anyway, but like he sees him, and I think that's what like really makes him pissed. He's like, oh, it's like you're making me do this. It's like whatever. And then he has to get all that anger out, and unloads on people. But the shot of his face was I don't know. I did like that.
Yeah, the thing for me that's interesting is that like that's what that shot you're talking about is what gave me Tony Leung as my performance. I love Tony Leung as well. He was in The Mood for Love. You'd actually know him from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He's Wenwu. Same guy.
Hello? What? Oh my god.
He's the villain in Shang-Chi. 2040, a big collaborator with Wong Kar-wai. Fantastic actor. This is him, obviously 30 years younger.
I guess that makes sense. Wow.
And he is absolutely incredible. So I adore that actor already. So I came in kind of predisposed to knowing he was probably going to be my performance. But then it was that moment where I was like, fuck yes, because at the time in the movie when that happens, it is not clear officially that he is an undercover cop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already going through like what that series of emotions could be, because he goes from like, he's like on the verge of tears. He looks at Johnny and he like smiles a little bit. He's like, and then he passes Johnny and he gets real fucking pissed, and then he grabs the gun and he mows the rest of them down. So at the time I'm going, okay, these are the last vestiges of his past. These are the people who know him, who love him, and are like the only connection he has left to that side of his life. And then it's the revelation that he is a cop. So what is this? You know, like what is this moment if he is an undercover police officer? Is it just his anger with the entire situation he's in, the fact that he's had to betray people he loves, the fact that he has to, because I think what's clear is that he does have a certain degree of affection for Uncle Hoy. I don't think that was
oh yeah,
it was not just from like well, I'm undercover, it's just part of the job. No, I think like it's really showing the damage that being undercover can do to you. Because I think this definitely has a certain degree of influence on, you know, the Internal Affairs trilogy, which eventually got adapted into The Departed.
Okay.
It was that was originally a Chinese movie trilogy that was adapted into American English and made into The Departed. So I think that there's a certain degree of influence this has on even that, you know, like because that side of the story, that's why Tony Leung was my favorite performance, is that I think he had a much more grounded, devastating side of the story to go with.
Yeah.
There is a swashbuckling hero side of it, it feels like, with Chow Yun-fat, and it's really, really good. And he does a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot, like, whenever Alan's like, I gotta go, this is something I have to do, and he just yells bullshit, you know, like one of my favorite moments in the movie. So like it was just, they had such good chemistry, and such a, it like another one that it kind of reminded me of was De Niro, Pacino, and Heat, but it's not Worthy Adversary. They're actually on the same side, and
it's at first like a worthy adversary, but
yes,
then not.
And then they
and
realize
then like,
they're on the same team, and it's like that shit's really cool.
The crane, like that he put on the tray at the hospital to let him know he's there, and then he's like, oh, I got to get you somewhere safe. You know, something's about to go down.
Because he said he would give it to him the next time he killed somebody, but that time he gave it to him as a warning, like,
we are about to kill
somebody's
somebody.
coming to kill
he
somebody.
Is about to kill somebody. And they do. And I went with your picks. I just flipped them for performance and character. And kind of now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I like Tequila for his character, but I think it is the performance of his calm collectedness at like points, and then like opposite, you know, like that's why I really loved it. And like the funny aspect of it too, you know, there was like it was funny at points. It had, I don't know, kind of had everything. It was funny, emotional, and action packed. It's like
Donnie Yen as Kane. Like Kane
yes
was cool because of Donnie Yen. I think that's the case for Tequila here. I think Tequila is a good character because he's being played by Chow Yun-fat.
Yeah.
Like I think that is almost a certainty. He is incredible in this role, and I think that the opening sequence really certifies that. The whole like bird restaurant they're in, they get the cage and the mirror he's looking at through, and he sees the guys, he sees his targets, and that whole thing. One of the coolest kills in this movie, and I might go with it because it's just so badass, is like the final kill in that sequence whenever the dude's shooting at him and he rolls over the table, avoids all the bullets, spits the toothpick out, and puts one in the dome. Like, that was hard. That was
okay. I guess we do have a kill, an eye shot, you know. We do have Johnny, you know, and the choice to like show that he's like he practiced, or like it's like what he's thinking of, like how pinpoint.
Well, and then you realize the pinpoint bullet looks like an eye with a little that was hard. That was hard as fuck.
That was really cool. I forgot about that kill. That could be up there because I put in my Indiana Jones kill, but like just killing goons at the, you know, or what at the 15. We don't even know how many, but That first sequence. Also, man, I forgot. Yeah, he's like on the railing at the end when he's outside, just like double pistol and blah blah blah. Like while he's
Yeah,
sliding
and he's
down
like
the
running down the
railing.
stair, like yeah, he's
God
sliding
damn.
and stepping down the stairs, like he's chopping his feet, and he's like that's what the fuck, dude. That's so fucking cool. There were so many points in this movie where like I love whenever I'm watching an action movie and I feel like my primal male instincts come out to just kind of be like, yeah, this was for me,
Yes.
like
Yes.
they knew I would love
I will
this.
never kill a thing in my life, but this for some reason gives me
This just
something.
gets me going. Yeah, no, there was a whenever we texted about it, because like I took notes during this movie and you sent me a text last night that was essentially exactly the note I took, which was all caps, bikes getting shot and exploding in midair. Like it was just like that was I
Not once,
literally
twice.
and the first time I went oh, and then the second time it happened I went oh.
I'm glad
like I was just like yeah.
I'm glad I texted you in this moment because I pulled out my phone after the first bike. I'm texting you off of the first one alone. The second one happens, and then I delete, and then I go, "Oh my fuck!" I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "No way they did
like
it fucking
that's
twice."
something that's just like it shouldn't be as cool as it is, but it's fucking awesome. Like it. I love
blew
it.
up the
I love
first
it.
bike. It's coming towards him. He has to jump over that bike, because it's going to hit him. And while he's jumping over it, he shoots the other one, which blows up midair. And then I'm like, okay.
So
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
That
I
might
love
be the
whenever
coolest
an
kill.
action sequence makes me go, oh, oh, like and like Emily's asleep next to me and I'm just I'm like Jabba the Hutt over here.
Why?
Like
why is violence? Why is like true crime? Why is it so interesting? Why is it so gravitating? Maybe because it is so ridiculous and that it is so like you have to be a certain kind of crazy in the first place to even think of it as okay, to even be in that life. So I don't know. Maybe it is. It's like in crime movies whenever you root for the.
Oh yeah,
crime,
I love crime movies. I do draw the line at true crime stuff. I don't like true crime stuff. I think it can be really good. It can be really well done, but it has to be done right.
Like serial killers, I don't know, like Mine Hunters. I remember that, like when that came out on, I think it's a TV show. Like it was anything serial killer. I don't know why. It's like it's gravitating to just know. It's like
fascinating
to think that there are people that think that way. I don't know. I think that's maybe what it is, and because obviously the events. I'd rather not know of the events. I don't know, and like I'd rather not know that these things happen on Earth. But no, this. I mean, man, it just it showed like this point. It's coming up a lot. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just in a Western mode, but like these guns are just too OP. It's too. There's no thought that has to go behind one kill to the next. Like it is just killing, and
that's what made Mad Dog's like double barrel fucking pistol thing he had so fucking cool. Like the way it would just blow holes in walls. Like that was so pimp.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved that. I loved there was I kind of view, John Wick, like you said, is a completely different kind of movie, but it feels like the only movies besides these John Woo flicks that I've seen that uses guns in an effective way in terms of like choreography and action set up. Like you said, it is so easy. You just mow it down and that's enough, But I saw a review that said this was a ballet with bullets. And I think it's wonderful. It's a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be
that
chaotic.
sequence whenever they're like shooting through the window and Mad Dog is running through the hall and he jumps out the window at the end, like shattering it, just jump straight the fuck through it. Like that's so fucking cool, and it's so like a beautiful shot that was a oneer, and it's not like a oneer in the sense like it lasts a while, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one shot where they show all the way down the hall, and he jumps through the fucking window, and it's fucking awesome, like so that was one of those other things too, is that I think John Woo has always understood the importance of a kinetic camera, not a shaky camera, but
Yeah.
something that is always moving.
It's like just a viewer. I don't know. It's kind of like you're
Mhm.
just in the best spot to watch whatever's about to happen. And
Like one of those times that it really stood out was the first time Alan meets Johnny at that like restaurant. There's the camera like goes forward and then it follows Alan into the room and then it comes back
mm,
up on Johnny, and it's like he does a really good job with long takes and making you live in the moment with the characters, and I think that it's an ode to just how well directed this movie is and how well performed this movie is. It's
mm-hmm.
and that's so cool to say about movies that are turn your brain off action films. I love when you can tell that something was done with just a great deal of talent and care and passion. That's when I'm like, I love it. Even if it is just a simple were explosions, guns, all that.
Mm-hmm.
If it was done well, it's done well. Like, and this is one of those. It's so fucking good.
And there was. Do you remember what Tequila says to Alan in the elevator? Like it's, did I kill a cop or whatever? It's like the last thing he says to kind of like, hey,
Get him locked the fuck in.
like it. Yeah, it's something like, hey, you can't move on with your life unless you think about, I don't know, something like, I don't know. That was,
Yeah, I know what you're talking
oh
about.
man, that was, it's the line I wanted to go. I thought I typed it in, but I didn't. The line I typed in was a funny line. It's whenever Tequila's like going at it with his boss or whatever, and he came into his office and was like, hey, you can't be doing all this, blah blah blah, and he's like, hey man, you're in my office, like treat me with some respect or whatever, and then he says, why you gotta get it so worked up? If you have to shit, go use the toilet, dude. And I was just like,
Right.
I don't know, that was pretty good. But no, the actual line I'd want to go with would be that elevator line. I don't know. I couldn't find it in anywhere. And
I mean, like, one of my favorite lines that immediately follows that reassurance, he's like, everything's going to be okay. It's okay. You didn't shoot a cop. Let's do this thing. And they get out of the elevator and he tells him, back in that restaurant, I shot a cop. And he's like, oh yeah. And he's like, how did you feel? He says, hell of a lot worse than you're feeling right now. And then Alan goes, was that guy back there I shot really a cop? And he goes, yeah. He goes, fuck. Like that was one of those, like, it was
mm,
right before another firefight breaks out, but he's like, all right, now be real with me. Was that guy I shot back there really a cop? And Tequila's just like, yeah. And it's just a
mm-hmm.
wonderful little moment. But
Hmm.
oh man, I wish I could, because I know
Man,
exactly what
it
line you're
was
talking
it was
about.
just like the most concise pep talk he could have gave is what it felt like. He was like, well, I need to say something to get this guy back in the mood to, you know, get to killing again, because he's snapped, he's out of it, and it put him back
Mm,
in. It was just, if you live your life, you know, thinking in the past, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something like that, or man, yeah, I don't, something about if you think about decisions your whole life, you won't be able to move on.
yeah.
Along those lines. But I really
Hmm.
wish I could find the verbiage because that,
No, because that
man,
was a great moment, and it does snap him in, and he shoots around the corner when the elevator doors open. It's like, I mean, it's just a well written, well performed, and well shot action flick. Man, there's just so much going for it that I absolutely adored. I love that Tequila plays the jazz flute. One of my favorite shots in the movie is after his partner dies, and he's at the jazz bar like mourning him, and there's like a glitch effect, and it shows his partner playing the drums over there, and him like looking at them, and then it glitches again, and he's
yeah,
gone. I fucking loved that
whoa,
shot. Um, that was one of my favorites. I really like there was another. Oh, my favorite shot of the movie is during my favorite scene where, you know, Tequila swings into the warehouse and does all that. But whenever he throws the smoke bomb and he's fishing through it, and then him and Alan come face to face, it's the moment that Tequila's gun touches Alan's forehead. It just touches his forehead and he pulls the trigger instantly and it clicks. That shot was fucking awesome. And I mean, like, a couple seconds later when it's them with their guns face to face in each other's faces, that was a really cool shot too. But I liked it was like a perfect profile, it was just, I loved it.
Man,
I loved
that
it.
interaction was awesome too. And I got what was going on at first, but then when Tequila emptied his gun, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, hold on a minute. And then, because I guess until this day, I haven't really thought how revolvers work. And that's why they never get jammed, is they do not eject the casings. It's the bullet fires and it gets on to the next. And that's why they never jam. And because whenever he emptied all of his casings, I'm like, wait, dude was fully loaded up and his gun clicked somehow. I'm like, and then I'm like, so that would mean Alan was out of ammo and he was the one who clicked. But then I'm like, then it reverses like his smile that he gave him. And then when it clicked, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm just dumb. Yeah. That's how revolvers work. I don't know. That was an awesome interaction. And
I only know that. I've never fired a fucking gun in my life. I only know that from Westerns. I know that from people having 6 shooters and firing guns and then clicking it open and like shaking the gun and them all falling out and then loading it up, you know.
Now that I'm thinking about it, come on, how did I not? Yeah, it's just I'm not one that plays with guns, you know. I'm not either. I haven't shot one in my life either, so that would be why. But now I know. I'm in the know now. But no, that was a badass moment there. Like Alan's smile, you know, kind of crazy, you know. We didn't like he was okay. Like kind of the like,
you know, like
you would have, you know, like and it's like obviously he doesn't want to die in that situation, but it's like you would have made the right, you know, you're the cop, like I don't know, like you are supposed to kill me like right here, even though I am I don't know, it was a lot, just so many things going on, and you're right, like this is It made that tier for me of like I kind of want it on physical. I want this.
Oh, I want it. I want it so bad. I loved that in that moment, because of his smile and because he doesn't pull the trigger, he knows. He's like, okay, that guy's a cop then. He's like, he's not, because he goes straight to his superintendent and is like, is there anything you need to fucking tell me? Okay. You know, he's like, do you?
I see that.
And he's like, no, there's things you don't need to know. And he's like, oh, really? Because if my gun was loaded, I would have killed a cop today. Like that's what he says. He's like, if my gun was loaded, I would have killed a cop. And he's like, and so the superintendent never directly tells him that he is an undercover cop. He just he's just like, yeah,
damn.
Like that's obviously what's going on. I love the moment when Teresa sees Alan walking into the hospital with the flowers, and she has the realization that this is the guy, and then they have that conversation where they're setting up the plan, and they have like this weird, like, not love triangle going on, but it's obvious Alan is like...
She hated the flowers. You know, like Tequila had to throw that in there, like, oh, by the way, she hates the flowers.
And she's like, no, I didn't. I fucking loved them. Good choice. And then I loved the signal. The idea for the signal is like you'll get a flower, and I think that's a result of him knowing Teresa so well that the moment she gets too nervous, she puts her hands in her pockets, and
that was cool.
And it's like you will know when it's time to evacuate. You will get nervous enough. You will put your hands in your pockets, and that is when it's time to evacuate. And I thought that was. Great fucking choice.
Another line that was almost there of like him just being like, "Hey, call the superintendent, go do this, go do that," and then you're smart enough to know what has to happen next. You know, he's like, I don't need to tell you, get these things done, and then you're good. You know, I trust
adore
you.
that Teresa's not a damsel in distress either. Like she's a badass all on her own. I absolutely love that character.
Pops a motherfucker too. Yeah, I mean, and. She doesn't want
the dude who came upstairs just spraying into a room full of babies. Like, holy shit, dude, have a conscience.
Like that's even the people out in the window, you know, like just shooting the cops that are lowering the babies. It's like, I mean,
Is there no line?
Man,
Like
I don't know. Like obviously there are cops out there. You want to kill those cops, sure. But like
they're mowing down the people in the hospital as they're like evacuating. As they run out, they're killing
that's
people and
true. Yeah, it's just
it's a lot of people are fucking dying. It's for
yeah.
some reason they were just like and I appreciate the good versus evil, just like these guys are evil, they'll kill fucking anybody,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's what makes Mad Dog ultimately an interesting character, having a line, having his loyalties. Like he's like the perfect organized crime enforcer that you would like to see in organized crime movies, where he does have a sense of honor, he knows who he's loyal to, and I must be loyal to my capo, like it's kind of it
Mhm.
reminds me of the Sopranos a little bit, like that sort of angle where there is a line, he won't cross it, but the people he works for and seemingly everyone else he works with absolutely will, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And maybe that is the point of the first action sequence because like I don't know what the story is. I'm just like assuming, well, these are two crime, I don't know, just people going at it. I don't know the details. I don't know the syndicates. I don't know who's who. It just at the first action sequence, it just seems that anyone is dying. I don't know who's on whose team. It doesn't even feel like many people know anyways. It's just if you're shooting at me, kind of like in Civil War. It's like, hey, they're shooting at me, we're shooting at them. That's all we need to know. Like
mm-hmm.
it's chaos. It felt like people were just dropping because they happened to be in the line of fire. And
Yeah,
then
it reminds me of the Battle of the Bastards. Whenever Jon Snow is just he's going to town, and he like you watch him obviously kill
yeah,
other Northern
it's like
soldiers. Like it's
you're not gonna know. Like it's either kill or be killed. It's like you're not you can't have like critical thought. You can't be like, okay, I'm gonna take a timeout real quick, and I'm gonna be like,
1 second. Let
who
me check.
are
Are
you
you a
on?
police
Yeah,
officer?
what's your
Yeah,
name? You're on my side, right? Okay, cool. Oh,
yeah,
bye. No, you're not.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, it doesn't really work that
yeah.
way. But and in the hospital, I think it. You're right. Like it does show you that easy line of here's the good guys, here's the bad guys. And yeah, just all the sequences they just worked. Like every in John Wick, I loved whenever they were like, and here's a room that we never use, but we'll use it now because it's fucking awesome and it looks
Yeah.
cool. And here it's just kind of like, well, we were in a restaurant that was just good for an action sequence, this warehouse that was primed for a great action sequence, and then a hospital in which at first it doesn't make me think of like, oh, what a cool place to be, but like ended up being a perfect
Oh, dude.
like just having baby like the fact that babies are there, the fact that it is like these tight hallways and like you can go to room, dive through those windows, like it was perfect. Like everything,
Yeah.
I don't know. They and maybe I guess John Woo like is he just action? Like that's what he
That
does.
is John Woo is typically. I think he's kind of known as one of the greatest action directors ever, and that's kind of what he does. Yes.
Okay, because I mean, it seems to me that like everything was seen through the action lens, at least through this movie. Maybe I don't want to blanket his whole filmography, um, to just be like
No, it's
that, but
pretty. No, I mean, like he's an action director. You will not be dismissing his capabilities by calling him
okay,
an action
but yeah,
director. That is what he
he has
does.
a good action lens. I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Is that it seems kind of John Wick style is like you can clearly tell this was made by someone who knows how to choreograph and who can see
And
the
stunt
events
work,
play out.
and yeah,
Kind of um, before they actually go through them. And yeah, no, I'm glad I got one under my belt. Had no idea Winwoo was in here. That's pretty cool. That was
cool
that
little
was a
crossover.
cool crossover there. But man, yeah, this it's been I'm the action movies I was just gonna have to like not muscle through them, but it's just kind of a genre that I've never I don't know, I want like a psychological thriller. I want something that makes me think. I want something
Mm-hmm.
that's complicated. But now that I'm watching these, I'm like, man, maybe maybe I'm just working too hard for movies at sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes.
nice just to lay back and entertain, and just be
Mm.
entertained. And it has more than just the action too. I mean, there are points where I could feasibly tear up. If I watch this again, I might when that baby gets
Yeah.
blood splattered on its face, or in certain moments. So yeah, this very surprising. This project has been so far,
Mm.
but um, I feel like, let's see, would I put it above Die Hard?
I would. I'm comfortably above Die
Yeah,
Hard. I
I
enjoy I enjoy Die Hard a great deal. I think that it takes the very basics of Die Hard and elevates it.
mm-hmm.
And Die Hard was good. Die Hard is really well done because of how simple it is. But it takes those extra steps. It doesn't take place over the course of one
Yeah.
night. It does give you a chance to really explore the relationship between Teresa and Tequila a bit more than the implied history of John McClane and Holly in Die Hard. You know, it there's just a little bit more to chew on here, and I think that it
Hmm.
really pays off. I think pretty much the exact same length. I will say Die Hard flies a lot quicker. It zooms by you, I think, and I think that this movie, it's not slow by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, you
It's,
are.
you're kind of planted at one place for a
Yeah,
while, and then we move
exactly.
on, and then you plant.
Hmm.
And I guess Die Hard, we're in the same building the whole time, but it is, we're on to the next. Like, it's like, okay,
Hmm.
that's over. We're on to this
The
next
thing that
little.
Die Hard has up on this movie is the villain. I think that Hans Gruber is a better villain than Johnny Wong. I think that Johnny Wong
Yeah.
is, you know, he's just kind of he's the up and coming guy in the triad. He's trying to take the power he can, and that's kind of all he is. And there isn't there's no more dimensions than that to him. He's not trying to throw anybody
Hmm.
off. He's not trying to be complicated. He's just Johnny fucking Wong, and he's here to take power, and that's all it is.
Yeah. And I don't know why this was the only guy in the movie. Winwoo didn't even click, which is, I guess, a long time ago. But this was the guy who I'm like, he looked familiar.
Johnny
Um,
Wong.
yeah, and I don't. His filmography, nothing looks familiar at all. I don't know why, but yeah, he did for some reason was strike something. Um,
Oh, he's in Internal Affairs. Oh, in Infernal Affairs. My bad, not Internal Affairs. I've been saying that wrong. I apologize. The movie that was turned into Die Hard.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, and I'm looking. Yeah, nothing again. I was like, I'll take one more little check through, and nothing is ringing a bell. But
yeah.
you're right, though. I mean, yeah, the villain could have been a little bit better, but maybe it is maybe it is just we needed a young guy that is evil, and you don't need any deeper justifications on him mowing down a bunch of patients in a hospital. So let's just make
Mm-hmm.
him, kind of one dimension. I guess at the end of the day, he is kind of one dimensional, and
Yeah.
there's not
He's
much to
evil.
him. He's
He's a
just
bad guy.
that's it. But
Yeah.
I think it works at
Yeah,
least
we got a
for.
few really cool, and obviously we've been focusing a lot on the big action set pieces, you know. But I like the in between things. I like the first time you see Tequila investigating the murder that Alan committed in the library, and he takes like the exact same steps, and the editing there
Ah,
where they, you know,
yeah.
they run their finger down the same shelf of books, and you know, like that whole thing. I loved that. I loved obviously the, you know, gun hidden in a book. Go and kill the guy. Great fucking moment. Yeah, no, I just think that like there's just so much cool about this movie, and there's a little bit more than just being cool, which always helps, you know. Um,
Wait. Okay. I just looked up gun hidden in a library book. The first result to pop up is hard boiled. That is like
hmm.
what pops up, which is that's kind of crazy. Um, because I don't know, I did text you, and this is more of like a funny text. I was like, oh no way, it's the library book. It's kind of John Wick esque, and I said, please tell me that like a Boban type comes out, but I
Yeah, Yao Ming.
I went
Yeah,
much more on the nose there. But uh, I that could be pretty cool if this was like the first kind of movie that it was in. I don't know, because it TV Tropes is the website. I don't know .org. So like it feels like maybe that's their game, is they're
they kind
finding.
of look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, cuz like there's, yeah, Shawshank. That was just his little pickaxe in there, but that's after this. right? Or no, yeah, Shawshank would be after,
Yep,
and that's
couple
not a
years after.
pistol, and that's like in a prison. That's different. This I don't know. That's the only other example they have on here is this and Shawshank, and I don't know, at least what I'm seeing. That could be pretty cool if this was like the first time it was in a movie. I guess it was a
This is
Shakespeare
what
book.
John Wick 3 is referencing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure it's a Dostoevsky book that John Wick pulls off, which
yeah, it is a. What book is he reading at the library? Alexander Nicholas. Yeah, very Russian scholar. Wow, but yeah, I don't know. I really thought we were gonna get a giant guy coming out of nowhere in a fight sequence. I'm like, is this where it came from? But no, the was cool for him to like
why
put the book in the outline of the blood and
of the
everything,
blood,
and
yeah.
yeah, but
Well, and, one of my notes was why the fuck would he put the gun back and the book back? Is he stupid? That was
that is, yeah, and to also keep the book there long enough to let the blood get there and make the outline. That's
it's almost like he wanted them to know what happened here. Like is there any chance this was like a little, almost like he's giving them a helping hand as to who to look for, like you should be investigating Johnny Wong.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
even with all this evidence, how are they going to track it back to him? Like, how? I guess, like, I don't know if DNA is really a thing yet. If that's like really popping off. I don't know, because like that changed. Now we can just like pull fingerprints and DNA off shit, and it's
Hmm.
like kind of, it's we can find out ways of who did it, but like it's kind of a perfect crime. Back in the day before you just the gun's already there in that book. You pulled it out. It boom walked. You put it back in. I mean, like, how could they trace it back to him? So I don't know. Maybe um, he's a cop. He knows how the legal system works. He's
Mm.
like, well, I don't know. They're going after these people. It is crime. Yeah, that is. I guess I didn't think about. He was very confident in leaving all that stuff there. Like it was like it was an almost like showing off. Like,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah. Okay. Got a little. I mean, yeah. This is definitely. We talked like propaganda and stuff and Die Hard, and man, I don't know what kind of propaganda this is. This is like the fantasy police force. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
this is I don't think any cops are Indiana Jones swinging from a roof, fully spraying an Uzi.
Yeah. Well,
And
and that's why, like, I think this would have to fall under that label. It's
yeah, it
because if John McClane is propagandic, I mean, tequila has to be. Um,
yeah it was.
it,
Why can we not have any other cool group of people that have talents, and does it have to be cop? Like, can we?
that's why it's got to be. That's why John Wick works. It's just a fucking assassin, bro. It's just got to be. It's got to be somebody who is in
Dude,
a shitty line of
yeah,
work.
because like if John Wick was a cop, you know
That would suck.
fuck yeah, that would like it would just it would still be cool. I would still watch him, but like it would just be like, damn, yeah, maybe. Well, because I do like at least the like moral compass. At least it is a cop, so that this person has a moral compass in the movie. Like that's
Hmm.
at least the point of using a cop in the movie for the most part, and that is nice to have just someone that is gonna do the right thing,
They are the
whatever.
good
But
guys. These are the bad guys.
yeah,
Yes, yeah. Like it's
um,
it is it. I mean, like, and it works for movies. It really does, and that's
but
why like
fuck,
it's
let's make a new.
yeah.
I don't know what it would be, but let's make a new group of people
Hmm.
that we're not necessarily just killers and assassin. We're not evil, but we're not cops either. We're like the gray Jedi. I don't know. We need to make like a gray Jedi, the
We
middle.
need we need Shang-Chi's, guys who were brought up
Ooh.
in that life, who chose to exit that
Uh
life.
huh.
They haven't committed to, but they do have that training. Like
Yes.
that's kind of the
Yes.
vibe we need. Let's just keep doing that over and over. No, but
It's a rough
it's
childhood
yeah,
for that generation. If we want to build that's a little
yeah,
rough there.
to
So,
be sure. But
but but no, that's okay. I wasn't like, oh, he's a cop, so the movie sucks now for
no,
me
no,
or
no, no,
anything.
no.
But
It's
you
and
know,
there is also another thing that like the Die Hard propaganda is a lot more personal because it's about an American police force and
hmm
this it is less it doesn't apply as much to
that's
us
fair.
as it would like I'm sure this operated as wonderful propaganda in China. Um,
hmm
I'm sure of it.
Who wouldn't want to be a cop after you see
There's
someone?
literally a franchise of Jackie Chan movies called Super Cop. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's
those movies also fuck, by the way. I enjoy the Super Cop movies, but
that's a. I need to get into the Jackie Chan movies. I've
you need to get into Hong Kong
I
action
do
flicks, man,
I
because the Jackie
do.
Chan flicks are Hong Kong action flicks like Hard Boiled. Like that is
Mm.
and
Bruce Lee, another one. Man, I need to get all this action and
yeah,
all
Shaw
the
Brothers,
samurai, the western, the
36
everything.
Chamber of Shaolin falls under this mantle too. The Hong Kong action flicks. It's there's
I'm in.
it's just I mean
Yeah.
definitely more John Woo. Can't recommend Last Hurrah for Chivalry enough. That's a really strong one. But yeah, it's a special thing they had going in the 70s, 80s and 90s for what they were doing with their cinema over in Hong Kong, you know. I like there was a lot of mentions of and I think this is just a result of how people refer to women of power in this movie is yes madam, like
Yeah.
whenever they were talking to Teresa, yes madam, yes madam is a wonderful Michelle Yeoh movie.
And
I strongly
I
recommend
wondered if
yes
that
madam.
was a translation thing, like if that is that just like a Chinese thing of like that's how because in like some languages it's like it's just built into the like I don't know or like
Mm-hmm.
is it like she is a woman in power so like it's we refer to them as madam and not like their name. I don't know, is that the
Well, I
custom
mean,
or
like
like
it's we say yes ma'am.
that's yeah, I guess it was like yeah, I guess true. um it just felt more, I don't know, I guess she was
Formal.
in a place of power, I guess, true,
I
so
took
maybe
it
it
that
could
she
be
was
that.
Tequila's
And it's like
boss.
yeah, and it
Did I
is
read
just
that wrong? I felt like
no, I
she was
think
like higher up
I
than Tequila.
yeah, it felt that way for sure. Maybe like I don't know if she because like maybe he was just the cop, like the foot soldier, and she was like a detective or like more of like the office job. But it seemed that she's not just a detective. Like she was because who was the other guy
Mm-hmm.
that yelled at Tequila in his office?
He's the superintendent. He runs
Okay,
the precinct. Yeah,
okay,
he
so
like they officially gave him the title of being like the captain
I see.
of the precinct.
Because yeah,
But
I don't know what her position would necessarily be,
yeah, they
but
never specified. But maybe probably just also inspector. You know, like she was the one receiving the flowers. I liked the method there where they had to translate it into a tune, and then they would use the scale of do re mi fa sol la ti do as the basis for what they turned that into numbers, and then those numbers translated to words, and like that whole thing. And I was always curious when I was watching the movie. I was like, are these pre-existing tunes so they know what tune to sing?
ah,
Because I'm like, I feel like you could sing this in roughly any tune, you know? Like it's not like it's
hmm,
they're like, "Oh, well obviously this is fa lo re mi si," you know, like it's no,
yeah,
it's
that's
I love that sort of
man.
shit. I love suspending belief during a movie and being like, "You know what? Fuck it. It works." Because that's cool. That is an awesome way to pass information encoded. You know, the roses, they come with a note. That note has a tune. That tune is turned into its basic form. That
Yeah,
basic form is turned into numbers. Those numbers are turned into a message
there
that he
were
types into a
like a lot of
computer.
cool things like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
like it felt very real and not like there's not this whole crazy interconnected world, like John Wick
Mm-hmm.
has with all these things. But there are these little specific to this world, sort of thing that I didn't really think of. But No, yeah, the cranes, I don't know, that was pretty cool. And then like after he's his funeral that he's kind of having when they like let them all go in the water and I don't it
Well,
surprisingly a lot more
also,
emotional than I would have thought, that it could have been.
I'm
Um,
curious. He's not actually dead, is he? He's the one who releases the cranes.
oh shit. Oh wait a minute. Yeah. Oh wait. I'm thinking of the no, because they come out of the hospital and yeah, he pops him in the eye. I guess he
Mm-hmm.
isn't dead. Oh, it's
He
like
shoots
it's
himself in the stomach.
that's right.
But they had that whole
Yeah, he
question
does.
throughout the movie, which was like, what happens next? Say
He's
you
out of
do
it.
get out.
I
Say
see.
you do get out, they give you a stipend and you go move somewhere. He's like, I want to go to Antarctica. Like that whole thing.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah, 23 hours of daylight or yeah, he's like get
yeah,
out of the
and I could really
dark
use
and
that after all this darkness,
oh man, so he's out.
so
He's done.
yes,
He
and
got out.
they burn the folder, and it almost seems like Tequila like knows they faked his death. It doesn't seem like the intendant even really
Ah.
knows that, because he's sitting there remembering. The superintendent's remembering the exchange for the lighter. He's like, here, a little gift. Remember that I'm the only one who remembered your birthday. It's all love type shit. And then Tequila's remembering that conversation about like what happens next. Where do you go? And he's like, I want to go to Antarctica. I could really use that after
Ah.
all this darkness. And then it goes to him releasing the cranes, letting it go, and I'm assuming sailing south.
Yeah. No, he's on his way. He's on his way. I get yeah, he has his own boat. Dude could just
Mm-hmm.
go. Oh
Can go.
man, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess hello. I didn't even think about who's the one releasing the cranes. I guess I don't know why I thought he was
Well, because
dead.
I thought it was going to.
Um,
Well, they make it seem like he's dead. Because I was like, I thought they were going with the route that Tequila would go and he'd release the cranes, and it'd be a nice little last moment of remember, like you can let go of this. You were a hero. This is what you were more than this.
mhm.
But then they cut up, and
Oh, it
it's
is
Alan.
okay.
And I was like, oh, dope. He's fine. He's letting his past go, which is even better. He's letting it go. He's going. He's
Okay.
taking off. I love that. So
I guess maybe
again,
that's the
a
confusion for
John
me.
Woo,
Yeah.
nice little happy ending. Let's do this shit. I love that stuff. So
Yeah.
I was a sucker for it. I adored this movie. I don't have much else to say on it. Do you? Do you?
I think we have gotten all the favorites there now.
All right.
So yeah, think we're there.
All right, we'll go ahead and rate this bad boy after I do the plug. So stick around if you want to hear where this ends up getting placed on a scale of 1 to 10. But yeah, if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom.pod where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content. If you're listening to this now, guess what? You could have been listening to it 3 weeks ago. You could have been watching it 3 weeks ago. We got the video and audio over on Patreon, and for $1.50 a month, you can access that early access content and all previous content we've done. 50 hours is a conservative guess. I'm guessing by now it's at least twice that. You should definitely go check that out. $1.50 a month, patreon.com/pennybloom.pod. All that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. It costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. So head over there. Head to Twitter. Follow at PennyBloomPod. Follow on Instagram and TikTok if we still have access to TikTok at this point. At PennyBloom Podcast. We're recording a few weeks in advance. People, the ban has officially been passed in Congress, so I don't know when that's going to go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
Could be any day now. Not sure. But if you can still follow on TikTok at PennyBloom Podcast. We're hopefully still posting clips. That'd be really cool. I don't want the government to censor us too hard. That would be really fucking sad. Yeah. You can also watch on YouTube. Look us up, Penny Bloom Podcast. We're there. I got a nice little album on display. I always got a little, the books in the background. The children love the books. It's I got Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle on display today. Felt right, when he takes his little victory lap around the world. He's sailing away. He did it. He made it out. I always try to get something that's a little on theme. But R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle, by the way, one of the goats. But yeah. Penny Bloom Podcast on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and download. That is the name of the game. Please download. You can even download and undownload. I just want to see that number. I just want to see that number go up. It doesn't affect it if you undownload it. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment-wise. How are you feeling about it?
Well, we already had the conversation of do we put it above Die Hard? And I'm in agreement there. That is, I think I am there. Critically, for sure. I don't think I'm, and enjoyment probably as well. It's either right,
Yeah,
like 8.5 is where we gave Die Hard. And
I would say that I like it more than Die Hard. I don't know how much more I like it than Die Hard.
I feel like I'm at like 8.75 or a 9. And
yeah, my gut took me 9. I really enjoy this movie. It was one of those ones where I finished the movie, I add it to my little lists on Letterboxd, you know. It went in that favorite movies ever category. I was like, this is in that group of 300, you know, like it's in there. And
would you
I think
tie
that
it with John Wick 1? Because that is a 9.
I would. I think I do like this one as much as I like John Wick 1. I think that the work they do with Tequila and Alan and Teresa, really, that like that group is more fully fleshed out than even just John Wick is in the first movie. You know, it's just like,
yeah, there's
just more to go on. There's more to attach yourself to. It's just it rocks, you know. And revenge movies versus this kind of movie, it's a different sort of thing. But I would put it on equal footing with it as far as how much I like it.
Okay, yeah, I think. I mean, I'm there. I mean, I'm between a 9 and an 8.75. And
can you not quite tie it with John Wick?
That's the only hesitation. I know it's not above. I know it is either a 9 or a 9.75. But yeah, I don't know. To put it on John Wick, critically, that's where I have like no problem here. Like I don't know. Like, well,
yeah, if you're more comfortable with an 8.75, I'm cool with that.
I feel like to put it in between Die Hard and John Wick 1 kind of just felt perfect for me. Okay, like that's personally where I would feel, but I mean, maybe we can just put a critical in there, see where it pops out. I mean, because it's not gonna change much. The enjoyment is a third of the weight.
No,
so
yeah. I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm cool with 8.75. That's like 8.75 or 9. Those are both really, really good scores. I enjoy the movie a great deal. And you know, I'll always be comfortable going, you know what, the Keanu Reeves movie gets the edge for me because it's Keanu Reeves.
And I hate the reason I'm pausing is because I am one to I have a bias against newer movies. Like if something's just newer, if it looks better, you know.
You have a bias for newer movies.
Yes. Sorry. And so I'm wondering if that's, you know, happening right here, or not. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have any qualms really tying it. Like that's, I wouldn't, but,
yeah, I mean, like, I'm at 9. If you're more comfortable with an 8.75, I don't mind that.
I guess let's go critical first. And then if I'm cool with the overall score, then I don't see any need to change. Because I like putting it on the same level as, like, John Wick.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think this is every bit as good as John Wick. I think that it's well written, it's well performed, it's well shot. I would say that, like, you know, it's not as well shot as like John Wick 4 or John Wick 2, but I would say it's every bit as well shot as John Wick 1.
The action is shot well.
Fucking
like
gnarly.
Yeah, that like the
awesome.
Camera work in the action should, like, it's different. It's not the John Wick camera like work. It is completely its own and very. There's no confusion. Like, I don't know. You're never like, oh, that happened way too fast, or like, I don't know what's going on here. It's like, oh, well, I don't know. It's very easy to follow, and
yeah,
we gave the first one an 8 critically for John.
I'm like,
Wick.
yeah, I mean that's good because my gut took me to 8.25.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm north of it, so 8.25 is like where you are, or is that? Because I mean,
Well, that's where my
like a
gut
little
took
bit of
me.
bump.
I mean, I could see me going up with it a little bit because I think Chow Yun Fat and Tony Leung are both fantastic in this movie. I don't know, like when it comes to um, just having a full cast of characters that are putting on quite as well as they are. I mean, Teresa Moe does a fantastic job here. I think that the gentleman who plays the superintendent doesn't have a lot
Yeah.
of scenes, but when he's in the movie, he's fucking good.
He-
Like his little scene with Teresa in the hospital, whenever they're like, she's like, "Why the fuck do you have a bias against tequila? What's wrong with tequila?" And they like simultaneously apologize to each other, and he's like, "You know what? You're right." Like that was another thing is I really appreciate that for the '90s how just as an equal they treated Teresa. I was worried about like a misogyny in the workforce sort of thing going to be happening, and no,
It was
there
almost
was
like
never
a
a point in
worship
this movie.
thing with her.
Yeah,
You know, it was almost
yeah.
like, hey, we love
That's
you.
the queen of this office.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she rocks, you know. So that was another really cool thing is that the superintendent never like swatted down at her like, what do you think? Like you're just some woman, you know. Like I appreciate that wasn't a part of the movie, which automatically makes me think higher of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a solid film. I could even I don't think I would go higher than 8.5, but I think I'm either 8.25 or 8.5.
8.25 is what we gave John Wick 2. And 4 we gave 8.75. So
I'm comfortably lower than John Wick 4, so I'm cool with the range I've given.
yeah. And tying it with 2, let's see.
I feel pretty good about that.
That
I think
good?
that like when it comes to the story, like the story it's simple and effective. It is very, very good. The character work is really, really strong. Like that's what I keep coming back to is that like while I love the John Wick franchise, the character work in those movies, it's not fantastic. It gets the point across, but I think that like we do a lot with character
like
here.
even Mad Dog. Mad Dog was
Yes.
a possible character nod for me at one point.
Mhm.
I like almost went with him just for his presence on screen and like just what he gave. And so like yeah, I would agree. I don't know. I think maybe 8.25. I mean, if we go 8.25, it's an 8.5 overall. And that's 0.5 above Die Hard, which was an 8 overall. I think that
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
that seems
I'm
right.
cool with
It's
an 8.25.
just barely below John Wick 2 overall. 8.58 for John Wick 2, but barely
Okay.
above John Wick 1 at an 8.33.
Cool.
So
That feels like a good slot, you
I
know.
think, yeah, it's in good company, and it's a different vein. It's weird to compare John Wick. You know, they are similar.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, like
But-
it's just because those are probably the most comparable movies in our action movies galore project so far. You know, like I wouldn't really compare this to Die Hard, except for like the cop elements.
Mhm.
It's John Wick does have a lot more of a spanning. You know, we're going from place to place. It's always moving. It's different. You know, and Akira obviously is not the comparison you want to make here. It's a completely different movie than Akira. So, I think it's like we're not comparing this to John Wick because John Wick are the only action movies we know. We're comparing it to John Wick because we just covered John Wick. We probably should have made that clear earlier, but regardless, yeah, no, I think that's I think splitting that, you know, it's lesser than John Wick 4 and 2, but higher than John Wick 1 and 3 makes sense to me. I think that's a good split. I think that's and personally, I think that's about right. I appreciate that. So
Yeah, I think
I'm comfortable with that.
I think I'm cool with
what's that bring it to?
8.5 flat overall. And I think now that I see the rating, like I have no qualms tying it with John Wick 1, like enjoyment wise. Like this, you're right, like the character work that was done. Like it isn't just, not to say John Wick is mindless action, that is just cool, but like they do a lot more character work. There are those moments where they do let you sit and like think.
And specifically John Wick 1 does a good job with the character work for John Wick, you know, like that's where basically all of the character work for John Wick is in the entire franchise. Is John Wick 1 and then at the very end of John Wick 4. Or the back half of John
and
Wick
in
4.
between,
So like
it's just get that man a gun.
survive. Like just live. So like that's where I'm like it's one of those things where this movie works incredibly well, and I think John Wick 1 probably is its best comparison as far as that franchise. So I'm cool putting it same level enjoyment wise and actually a little better. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
But at an 85%, we conclude our episode on Hard Boiled, and that is, wow, love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We're
Wonderful
only
movie. I'm
going
so
up,
glad.
it seems. We've only gotten better and better. And I don't want to just say that we're going to keep doing that, to expect it, but man, it's been a very good road.
I'm excited. Yeah, we're going to take about a 20-year time jump to this Friday. We spent some time here. We had Akira 1988, Die Hard 1988, Hard Boiled 1992. Now we're going to 2011. We're skipping the aughts entirely, going straight to the tens.
Yeah,
where
we got
we'll
the
be
Matrix.
covering.
We've covered the Matrix. There's the 2000 gap there if we want.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But it's still 90s. Yeah, so we covered Kill Bill. We covered Kill Bill 1 and 2.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, that counts. Then this Friday we've got The Raid coming. The Raid Redemption, if you have a tough time finding it, is also a more specific title for it. I like calling it The Raid, though. It's just cleaner. But The Raid this Friday, 2011 Indonesian film. One I've heard just some of the craziest action ever. Super excited for that. Next Monday we'll be back with Sicario. I've heard fantastic things. Denis Villeneuve obviously found himself sitting pretty for me after Dune 2, so I'm excited to watch some of his earlier work. Then the next Friday after that, we're doing RRR and then Mad Max Fury Road. So we've got 4 movies left on the Action Movies Galore ahead of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So very excited for that. And in the meantime, we will also be doing, in anticipation of Furiosa, our Anya Taylor-Joy Spotlight. So this week, I believe, brings us Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. It will not be a first viewing for me. I'm super excited for Joe to catch a glimpse of this for the first time. He'll see some familiar faces beyond Anya Taylor-Joy, which I'm excited for him for. Yeah, we're living it up. We got Last Night in Soho, The Menu, and then Furiosa. So nothing but movies in May. It's movie May here. We had the finale of Bad Batch. That was the exception. But everything else, movies. Movie time. Movie May. And I'm so very excited. But with that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise John Woo.